ladies, sorry, it's been a while and it's just been a little crazy with intensives. Alright, so we are on day 3 of Unit 3. This should be page 7 in your packet. First, let's take a look at the notes over here. Some really important things to be focusing on are when we're learning how to graph lines. If we're looking at diagonal lines, the equation will have both x and y in it. You need to know the slope and the y-intercept in order to graph. And you definitely want to get the equation. Oh, it says in form. That should really be in slope-intercept form. You want to add that to your notes. Start by plotting the point, the y-intercept. Use your slope as the rise over run to plot the point. So that's really a really important one. Once you have made a few points, connect them with a straight edge, arrows on both ends. Okay, and this to integrate their slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And if we're talking about horizontal lines, the equation will only have y in it, right? Think HOV. And again, you want to make sure the equation is in slope-intercept form. But in this case, it'll just be y equals whatever number that is, okay? And then plot the point that has the y value and draw a horizontal line through it, okay? This will also have arrows on either end. Then if we're looking at vertical lines, the equation will have x equals, and think about Vux. I would go back to day 2 notes and look at these two vocabulary words, Hoi and Vux. Make sure the equation is in form. Again, slope-intercept. Intercept form. And here be x equals whatever that number is. Make sure the point has x values, and you draw a vertical line. So your line will look something like this. Okay, with arrows at either end. Any line can be graphed in the calculator if you can get it into slope-intercept form. If you do this, you must write down the table's second graph of points that you can plot. Okay, so if you go into y equals and you put into your equation, let's just say, for example, your equation is 3x plus 2. And then after you go to the y equals button, you put that in, you could then click graph, the next button, and it'll show you what this graph would look like. And then if you press second graph, oops, I didn't want to do that. Second graph, it will bring you the table, and the table will have your x and y values, and then you could plot those points and make your line, and then go back to hit graph again, to then look at that. If anybody have any questions about their graphing calculator, just email me, or you come see me during homeroom. I'll be in room 414. Alright, so moving on. Alright, so let's look at... I actually want to look at the first one. So we're still on page 1. Okay, and we're looking at number 1 right here. This is where we're working. So it says, graph the line that goes to the point 3, 1 and has a slope of 2 over 3. Then write the equation of the line. So first thing we're going to do is graph the line. We know it's going to go through the point 3, 1 and has a slope of 2 over 3. Then they want us to write the equation of the line. Okay. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plot 3, 1. So to plot 3, 1, I'm going to go to my x-axis. I'm going to go to 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go up 1. So that's my point right there. Okay. Now I'm going to use my slope. Remember, your slope is 2 over 3. This is your rise over your run. So it's positive. So I know I'm going to go up. Remember, we always run to the right. So from my point right here, I'm going to rise 2 and then over 3. So from my yellow point, 1, 2 up and 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3. This is my next point. Okay. And then from there, I want to do it again. Up 2 over 3. 1, 2. So it's some place right here. Since I'm already off the grid, I'm now going to work backwards to try to do the left side. So I'm going back to my yellow point, my starting point. I'm going to go down 2 and over 3 to the left, right? Because I'm doing the opposite. Think inverse operation when you are, when you're doing the left side of the graph. So again, from this point, I'm going to go down 2, over 3 to the left, down 2, over 3 to the left, down 2, and over 3 would give me someplace like that. Now that I have all my points, if I have a straight edge, which I don't, I'm going to try to draw my line really somewhat perfect, but I want to go through all those points. You should definitely use a ruler or a straight edge, a book, something that you have in your house. I'm going to draw my arrows. Okay. Now that I have this and I draw it, I could write my equation. Well, I know my equation is going to be in y equals mx plus b form. Well, I have my slope right here. So I know that m will end up being 2 over 3 x, right? And I can fill this part in. What's my b? Well, my b is y-intercept. Where crosses the y-axis? So when I look at my graph, I notice that this graph crosses the y-axis at -1. So -1 is my y-intercept. So if you just want to write down b equals -1, I'm looking right here. Okay, so now this is my equation. Thinking about this lesson, number 2 is the same. I'm going to move down to to the next page to do one of those problems with you. And then that'll be it. So we're not going to do 2. Oh, sorry, let's undo that mark. Let's see, what would be a good one to work on? Something that's a little messy. Let's do number 6 together. Okay, so we definitely want it to be in y equals mx plus b form. Number 6, okay? That's clearly not in y equals mx plus b form. So if I wanted it y equals mx plus b form, I want it to look like this. Y equals mx plus b. The first thing I want to do, if you're thinking about, well, what's happening to y? Well, what's happening to y, right? Our goal is to get y by itself. It's like it is right here. So the first thing's happening to it's being, you could say, multiply by 2, then divide 3, and then the third thing is add x. So it's opposite day. I want to do the opposite. So instead of add, I want to subtract. So I'm going to subtract x to the same side. Now, if you notice, I didn't line up 4 minus x because they are not like terms. Here, let's get crossed out. Oh, this is going to become very messy. I suggest you do this on like this part on a scrap paper. Where am I going to write this? I'm going to do all this up here, okay? So now I have 2 over 3y equals, now I want to add x plus b, so I'm going to put my negative x first, then plus 4. Oh, that's supposed to be a 4. 4. Okay? So now I subtracted. Now if instead of divide, I'm going to multiply by 3. So I multiply side by 3, and I'm going to get 2y equals negative 3x plus 12. I hope these colors aren't too harsh for you girls. Alright, and now instead of multiply 2, I'm going to divide by 2. Divide by 2 everywhere. So, I'm going to bring this over here so you can see it. So now, finally I have y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 6. That is now my equation in y equals mx plus b form. That's a 3. Let me just make this nicer. Okay. And now I'm going to graph. So, this doesn't... Okay, well that's fine, whatever. So I'm going to start with my y-intercept, which is 6. So on my y-axis, go up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that right there is my y-intercept. Now I'm going to use my slope. So my slope is telling me that I'm going to go down 3 and to the left 2. So for my y-intercept, I'm going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going down because it's a negative. And I'm going to go to the right 2. 1, 2. That's my next point. I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. It's like right there. Now I did all the right, so let's do the left, I have to do the opposite. So now instead of going down 3, I'm going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3, over 2. So I point somewhere over here. I'm good. Alright, so now I'm going to make my nice line. My arrows, this is really sloppy, but yours will look better. That is my line. Okay? 4, 5 are similar to 6. 3, 5 are similar to 6. Number 4 is x equals 5. So that would be Vux. And I suggest you go back to day 2 to see what that graph will look like. Again, you could always put these into your calculators once you put them in y equals mx plus b form and work that way. Any questions, please make sure you're emailing me so I could answer them in the next video. Thanks. Have a great night.